Have you ever, started a new project or a new routine and just felt this immense pressure for it to be big and visible right away?
We want the spectacle.
We do. We're, I think, psychologically conditioned to look for the big win, that undeniable sign that something is actually happening.
Right. We crave that instant validation. And if the change isn't visible, we often just assume the effort isn't worth it or, that it hasn't even really begun.
Absolutely. But the profound sources we're diving into today, these are teachings from the Rebbe on Rosh Chodesh Kislev, they suggest the complete opposite.
They really do.
They argue that the most powerful beginnings are actually the ones you can barely even see. They're subtle, almost invisible.
But they contain all the potential light of what's to come. It's a real challenge to our notion of what power even is. It shifts the focus from, say, the glory of the result to the purity of the seed.
And that's our mission in this deep dive. We want to uncover the incredible transformative power that's hidden in that very first, almost invisible moment of renewal.
And understanding it is like a shortcut.
It is. It's a shortcut to understanding our own personal path and even, collective redemption. It's a huge idea and a tiny observation. Okay, let's unpack this.
So when we talk about Rosh Chodesh, the head of the month, the teaching really zeroes in on the moon.
The lunar cycle.
Exactly. The moon, when it's totally dark, that symbolizes concealment. Rosh Chodesh is that moment of its rebirth, where you can only see the thinnest, most imperceptible sliver.
And that's what the Rebbe taught, is the Rosh, the head of the month.
It's it.
Okay, but hold on. If the power is in what's unseen, why do we, as humans, constantly chase the visible stuff? What is it about this teaching that's so hard for us to grasp?
I think it's our impatience. The big visible spectacle is comforting, right? It removes doubt.
Yeah.
But this teaching reminds us that visibility is often, it's superficial. The new moon is called the head precisely because it silently contains the whole blueprint, the essential plan for all the light that's going to unfold for the next 30 days.
That's such a powerful distinction. It's almost like an act of faith. You look up, you see that tiny little sliver, and you have to trust that it's the beginning of the whole glorious cycle.
Exactly. The message of Rosh Chodesh is that the power of a beginning isn't in what it shows.
The amount of light.
Right. It's in what it reveals of its essence. Think about it. Just contrast that sliver with the full moon.
Well, the full moon, visually, that's the peak, right? It just dominates the night sky.
It does, but in a way, the full moon is actually less informative about the future than that little sliver is.
How so?
The full moon is just the completion. It's the final expression of a process that's already happening and, frankly, reaching its limit.
Okay.
But that thin sliver, it reveals the fundamental underlying essence of the new cycle just starting. It's pure potential. It hasn't had time to fail or diminish yet.
So the real truth is revealed in the weakness, in the hiding. And if we apply this to ourselves, it means the critical part of making a change isn't some big public announcement. It's that tiny, subtle flicker of genuine inner intention. Okay, this is where it gets, for me, really interesting. How does this subtle moment, this barely visible moon, connect to our deepest inner selves?
Well, the Rebbe taught that this renewal actually expresses the highest, most intimate part of the Jewish soul. He calls it the Yehida.
The Yehida. We hear terms like nefesh, ruach, neshama all the time.
Yeah.
For action, emotion, intellect. Where does Yehida fit in?
It's beyond all of that. Yehida means singularity or unity, while nefesh is our basic life force and neshama is our intellect. The Yehida is beyond function.
So it's the core.
It's the absolute core. It's that point of oneness between a person and the divine essence. The sources even describe it as the spark that connects an individual directly to the Messiah, to redemption itself.
Wow. So while our minds and emotions are all over the place with daily life, the Yehida is this constant foundational truth underneath all that noise.
And Rosh Chodesh is when that truth becomes accessible.
It's like the door just opens up.
That's the mechanism, precisely. That inner point, the Yehida, is revealed more fully. It's like the birth of the moon awakens a new possibility inside each of us. It's a time to bypass all the complicated layers of our personality and just connect to our essence.
It sounds like an internal calibration. But if the Yehida is already pure and one with the divine, why does it need to be revealed or renewed? Shouldn't it just be there all the time?
That's a crucial question. The Yehida itself is constant, but our awareness of it, our experience of it, gets obscured.
By our own minds?
By the layers of our consciousness, our habits, our anxieties. So the renewal isn't fixing the soul, it's just dissolving the layers of concealment that block us from it.
And the month itself, Kislev, seems designed to amplify this whole dynamic. Does the name itself give us a clue?
It absolutely does. The sources tell us the name Kislev has this dual concept in its roots. It combines concealment, like the darkness before the moon, and revelation.
The slow expansion of light.
Right. That whole journey from hiddenness to expansion defines the entire month. And what's fascinating here is this isn't about doing more or adding some complex new ritual. It's about simplifying. It's about being more fundamentally connected to who you already are. The doing comes later as an expression of that connection.
That makes the whole abstract concept of Yehida so much more relatable. It's just cutting through the noise to get to the simple truth. But it's still easy for this to feel a bit abstract. The moon, the soul. Do the sources give us any everyday comparisons for this kind of connection? I know the material uses a really powerful one. A child.
The comparison to a child is maybe the most visceral example of the Hide in action. It just bypasses all the complexity adults create.
Right. If you watch a child, their relationship with the world, with the divine, it's just direct. It's simple and total.
They don't need theological proofs. They just feel the presence in everything. It's unmediated.
Which creates this huge contrast, right? Adults, we attach ourselves through our faculties. Our intellect analyzes, our emotions feel, our will drives us to do things.
We use structures to connect.
Exactly. But children, they attach themselves through their very being. There's no middleman.
None at all.
It reminds me of my niece. She was maybe 4. And she drew this picture of God giving her a puppy, just like that. And for her, it was just a fact. That's the immediacy that the sources are talking about.
And that spontaneity the sources emphasize, and it's not naivety. It's actually a revelation of the soul's essence, the place inside us that comes before understanding.
The purest expression of the Yehida.
And that purity is mirrored in another moment that happens every single day to everyone, the moment you wake up.
Yes, the spiritual significance of waking up. The sources say that the truth of the whole day is carried in that single instant before you've even formed an intention.
It's important to clarify here. The first thing you do in Jewish practice when you wake up is say the Moda'ani prayer.
Right, thanking God for restoring your soul.
But the teaching says the connection happens even before that prayer?
Wait, really? So even that immediate declaration of gratitude is kind of after the fact?
Exactly. The core idea is that in that pristine instant, when the soul is restored, before the mind starts planning, before the will kicks in, the soul and the divine essence are one.
That's the moment the Yehida manifests its power.
The connection is just a given. It's there.
And then the source says the whole rest of the day is simply an implementation of that first revelation, which means the quality of our entire day is basically set in those first few seconds.
It puts tremendous weight on that beginning. Every action, every decision is ideally meant to express that core unity you started with.
So the struggle of the day is just the tension between that essential truth and all the distractions our minds throw at us.
Precisely.
So if we just step back, these two analogies, the child and the morning, they both show the power of this pure, unmediated essence. The power is in the beginning, before our conscious, analytical self starts to complicate everything.
And this internal awakening is the engine for everything. This isn't just about personal growth. It's the fundamental mechanism for hastening the unfolding of redemption.
Okay, let's connect that inner spark to the external world. Because, we often think of redemption as this huge, world-shattering event.
Right, something that arrives with trumpets and fanfare.
Exactly.
But the sources reiterate that redemption always begins at an almost invisible point. It's an awareness, an inner gesture, a return to who we really are, a subtle beginning. Just like that sliver of the new moon.
We're actually participating directly in the process of redemption. We're doing the internal work that makes the external shift possible.
Absolutely. And you can see how this unfolds externally just by looking at the rest of the month. The sources use Hanukkah, which comes later in Kislev, to illustrate this.
Hanukkah, the festival of light, the very public miracle where light visibly overcame darkness.
There you go. The light expands at the flames of Hanukkah. Day by day, we light one more candle and we expand the place of clarity in the world.
So the connection is?
The connection is that the huge, visible 8-day miracle of Hanukkah is actually just the implementation of that tiny, invisible spark we cultivate at the start of Kislev.
Wow. So the internal clarity we gain becomes the external clarity of the world.
It reframes the whole month. The quiet work we do now, finding our essence, is what enables the massive public miracle later. The action isn't waiting for something to happen. The action is internal.
That's a huge shift in perspective.
The teaching is clear. Everything begins with rediscovering our own essence. We hasten redemption not by trying to orchestrate grand events, but by allowing the simple, deep truth to permeate every choice and every relationship. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the hidden light of the world, which is the light of the Messiah, can only become light for all when we activate our own hidden light first.
The personal return becomes the global shift. What a profound takeaway. This whole journey from the moon to the child isn't just about beginnings. It's about redefining success as purity of connection, not the scale of the accomplishment. So what does this all mean for you? It means seeking power not in the big visible show, but in the quiet, subtle beginnings of any process, whether that's a new month, new project, or just a new day. The greatest potential is always in that essential, barely perceptible spark.
It challenges us to pause and just recognize that we're fundamentally connected already. The real effort isn't in building the connection, but in clearing away all the clutter that hides it.
And as a final provocative thought for you to mull over, think about that assertion that the whole day is just an implementation of the initial revelation when you wake up. If your soul and the divine are one in that first moment, what internal barriers, what intellectual arguments or emotional defenses do you put up during the day that require you to constantly have to return to essence?
Tomorrow morning, try to observe your own first moment of consciousness. Before the coffee, before the to-do list, even before the first thought of the Modeh Ani prayer. What essential truth is revealed in that absolute instant? And how consistently do you implement that pure connection for the rest of your day?